Warrior Radio right here on the Talk to Me station, AM 1300 WMEL. And folks, we are online worldwide at 1300WMEL.com. And I mention that because if you've got somebody, whether it's a friend, neighbor, relative, past coworker, whatever, that's living out of state or out of our terrestrial radio signal reach, tell them to jump online, 1300WMEL.com, and tell them to tell all their friends. And also visit us, like us, and visit us on Facebook. You can go to avetproject.org, lower left corner, click on the Facebook icon. It'll shoot you right to that page. If you go to the 1300 WMEL website and you click on schedule on Saturday, you'll see the American Warrior Radio Facebook page, and you want to avail yourself of that and the archives tab, because all these episodes are archived by title that you can grab and share very easily in MP3 format. So you're not going to miss anything if you're out there getting your free will today. Glenn, what's that about the free wills? And, you know, we're doing a benefit seminar too.
Yeah, and it's free, and
we're pretty good that we can be in two places at one time.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
It's a beautiful Saturday, everybody.
It's going to run till 2 o'clock, and so we want you to come out and see us here at the lovely Hilton.
Doubletree Hilton. Doubletree by Hilton.
Yeah, whichever.
We've been here since 10. We'll be here till 2. And if you don't have a free simple will, you get yourself in your car and get down here right now. We'll take care of you, whether you're pre-registered or not. And we're going to continue to give information out about VA benefits.
That's right, and also you can do an advance directive while you're out here.
Okay, real quick, what's an advance directive? Why do they need one?
Well, advance directive is when you become incapable of telling people what you want done in a medical situation primarily. You become brain dead or whatever. Do you want them to keep you alive artificially, or do you want to go? You want somebody to pull the plug on you, things like that. Tough things to talk about, but you got to plan ahead.
Exactly, and you know, it's kind of a perfect segue since we're getting into the legal arena already, because our next guest, we are very pleased to have in studio with us right now a gentleman who's also a career military man, and he's a local attorney, and he is running for a judgeship, and I'm going to let him tell you about it. Please say hello to all our listeners out there, Mr. John Moser. How are you?
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for showing an interest. These judicial positions are critical, and unfortunately one of the biggest questions I'm asked when I'm out there in both Seminole and Brevard County, because it's the 18th Judicial Circuit, which there are 20 circuits in the state. The 18th encompasses Brevard and Seminole. This is a Brevard seat. Judge Wone is retiring after a very illustrious career on the bench, and there's a primary August the 26th. There are 3 people in this race. The person has to get 51% or more to end it on August the 26th. If not, the top 2 will go on to the general election in November.
Quick question, and again, this is just a factual question. I'm not asking opinions here. Do either of your competitors in this race have any military experience?
No.
Ah, so folks, that's why we bring in these people to share with you on American Warrior Radio. Career military men running for public office. Who would you rather see steering this county and nation forward than folks that have, you know, put their life on the line for us all? And you're one of them, so thank you.
Well, it's been my honor, my pleasure, and every day of that 31 years, a combination of active and reserve, 17 active and 14 reserve, in myriad capacities all over the world. Many things that I can't talk about. I know there's always kind of a comic thing, hey, we have to kill you and eat you if we talk about some of the things we've done, but literally I have another 25 years to fulfill the 30 years of non-disclosure that I've committed to, and I've fulfilled my obligations, and that's one of them.
Well, we appreciate that. Now let's back up a moment, because share with our listeners where you were born and raised. Where'd you start life at?
Well, I actually was born in North Carolina, and then I came down to Florida when I was 7 years old, end of 1962. My father was a small business owner, had an upholstery and furniture business. We were actually going to go to South Florida, but wound up staying with some friends, and fate had it that we stayed here in Melbourne, Florida. My father ran a very successful upholstery furniture business in downtown Melbourne, John Moser Upholstery, for over 36 years. And I grew up here, was a product, went first to Indian Atlantic Elementary for a short time, then we moved over to the mainland. I went to Ruth Henniger, that's now the Henniger Center, no longer a school, and then went to Harbor City. Little side note, my 6th grade football team that we won the county championship, we are actually responsible for naming Harbor City Dolphins, and that's a long story which I won't go into. Then went to Central Junior High, which is now West Shore High School, played football and ran track there. And then on to O'Galley High School, where I worked on the school paper, played both football, lettered football and baseball, and then went on to Florida State. Sorry all you Gator fans, but I've got 3 sons that graduated from the University of Florida, so I kind of covered both places.
Exactly, you got it covered. Okay, I just want to go back for a minute, because you've got deep roots here in Central Florida, here in Brevard, and from there you got out of high school. Why'd you go into the military? You went to college first and then go into the military. How'd that happen?
Well, my lifelong dream was there was a TV show on when I was a young lad, black and white TV. The one we had in our household. You had to use manual, dial, which that's foreign to everybody today. And there was a show on called The FBI with Ephraim Zimbalist. And I was so intrigued because of one, I've always, from a very young age, always been service-oriented, wanted to do something for my fellow man. Grew up, very strong Christ follower and in the church, and that's just been a part of my being. And so I was very intrigued. Here's this guy, this FBI agent that was able to carry a gun, was able to serve people, do good, do great things, wear the white hat. I said, that's for me. That's what I want to do. It's not a desk job. You're out, you're doing exciting things, you're doing, the work of, God and country. So everything I did from that point forward, I tried to make good grades, I tried to excel, tried to be a leader, tried to be, the best athlete I could, best person I could, best respecter of people, family, teachers and counselors, everything I could. Went on to Florida State, which arguably had one of the top criminology programs in the nation. But I was told about halfway through, one of my best friends is Scott Sorensen, who probably everyone knows is having the largest moving and storage agency in probably all of the state of Florida, maybe the southeast. But Scott's oldest brother was an FBI agent, and he and his best friend had told me that, look, John, unless you either are a lawyer, or an accountant, or 3 years of managerial service, preferably in the military, military intelligence, military police, you're not going to go straight in the FBI, even out of a great criminology program. So I did have hair back then. I know your folks aren't watching this, but I don't have much now. But I did have.
They are. We broadcast this on YouTube
all right,
too.
Great. Okay.
There's no escaping it.
Okay. So I went down to the ROTC department. They kind of looked at me strange because, like I said, I did have long hair, but they were desperate. It was right in the hills of Vietnam, and you couldn't get people to sign up, so they did. I joined the ROTC program, was a distinguished military graduate in 1977. I graduated one day, was commissioned the next, was off to Hawaii for 4 years of active duty. Well, after my training in Fort Huachuca, the intelligence program and counterintelligence program. And then finished out my active duty time, then I converted to the reserves, and then the career throughout the next 27 years was a combination of both active and reserve, had something to do with that little exercise, Just Cause in Panama, where Mr. Noriega was dethroned, if you will.
Exactly.
A lot of interesting stories there, and then went back to law school because I still had that passion, had that desire to be in the FBI. But something happened along the way. I did an internship with the state attorney's office in Tallahassee. The first trial I went into, I got a dog case handed to me that had been passed around the state attorney's office for like 4 years, a odometer case, and the defendant was actually an individual citizen who had turned back a dial. But long story short, they gave me this dog. I took it with all the zeal and effort I do in everything I do in my life. And we got a conviction on that. And it's like, from their perspective, this guy's a rock star. He took this dog we've been passed around for 4 years, he gets conviction. But it wasn't that. It was that feeling of, again, wearing that white hat, doing the right thing, which wasn't that case per se.
Right thing for the right reasons.
So I said, I got the best of both worlds. I can work with law enforcement. I can also take these cases, and throughout my career then, I went off to, I don't know if you want to branch off to the rest of the career in the legal arena, but because of that, I kind of relented on the FBI and went to the state attorney's office in Tampa in 1985. I was incredibly blessed to work with a gentleman by the name of Bill James, who was the new state attorney there. He was a former federal strike force prosecutor. He brought with him 6 of the baddest, meanest, best, most talented federal prosecutors anyone could ever work for. For whatever reason, they took a liking to me. They took me under their wing. They trained me, they taught me, they coached me, they put me through the ringer, they beat me up. I don't mean literally, but literally put me through my paces in every imaginable way, shape, and form. And I gleaned, I was like a sponge. If they were willing to teach me, I was willing to accept it. So learned racketeering cases, continuing criminal enterprise, conspiracy to commit racketeering, wiretapping cases, was right with them every step of the way. And after 7 years, then I was selected to work at the statewide prosecutor's office that handles complex multi-jurisdiction cases. They don't handle murder, but basically cases, I said before, there's 20 circuits in the state of Florida. Each of the state attorneys is assigned one of those circuits. Well, as you can imagine, there are many crimes that occur in multi-circuits. So the statewide prosecutor's office was originated, chartered, set up to handle those multi-circuit, multi-jurisdiction cases, working with mostly task forces, the feds, FDLE, local law enforcement, and other agencies. And did that for 7 years, worked complex racketeering fraud cases, wiretaps. I supervised some of the biggest cases the state has ever had. To date, I believe I have the largest arson prosecution because then I was selected by the school in Ocala, the fire school, to train their lead investigators to handle those types of cases, but gear them and investigate them towards racketeering and arson, which is a great tool because they're first-degree felonies and you have a lot more leverage when you're charging first-degree felonies and conspiracy to commit. And just on and on and on for 7 years.
Exactly, and obviously it prepared you for your private practice as well, but even more interesting, that wide range of experience, as you just described, is going to be well suited for a judgeship here. Tell us how that relates.
Well, it was a combination. I was assigned to Special Operations Command in the very early years of 1991, 92. And was constantly in and out of assignments and missions at Special Operations Command, as well as the prosecution responsibilities that I just described. I think that there's three great characteristics, or three necessary characteristics, that are preeminent for someone to be a judge. First of all is trustworthiness. You've got to be trustworthy. My nation has entrusted me with our greatest secrets, our greatest missions. The state of Florida has entrusted me with its greatest responsibilities of prosecuting some of the toughest cases that have ever been prosecuted. I prosecuted child sex crimes and adult sex crimes division for 2 years. Toughest cases you'll ever have.
I can't even imagine.
I presented cases to the statewide grand jury. I was responsible for taking cases in the middle of the night for wiretap warrants, for applications, for search warrants, and prosecuted some of the biggest cases we've had. The trustworthiness comes because the government, both the federal government, the state government, and throughout many elements of my career, have entrusted me to make those tough decisions. The next is decisiveness. When you're sitting on that bench, you don't have a committee. You don't have staff that sit there and makes those decisions. You are, the lights come on, and you're going to have pressure like no one has ever experienced. Well, I'm going to tell you, my both legal pressure and real-world pressure, this judicial position pales in comparison to some of the pressure. I can tell you, when you have life and death decisions at your very fingertips, then those decisions, other than a capital case where you may have to sit there and listen to the evidence and the testimony and make decisions after a jury makes a recommendation for life or death.
Which is why they call it deliberating.
Absolutely, absolutely. You better be able to do that instantaneously. Mm-hmm. You better be able to sit there under the heat of a big law firm that has 20 lawyers that maybe is the most prominent in the county, and some people, and this is a reality, judges generally are going to have to be reelected, all right? You can't be thinking about, well, this firm has this influence or that impact or this person's important. You've got to sit there and apply that. I don't care if it's the poorest of the poor, the richest of the rich, the biggest law firm, the smallest law firm, whatever it is. You better be. It's just like umpiring. I umpired a lot of games for my boys and my daughter. And then later I got through college working 3 jobs.
Sure.
You've got to be consistent. You've got to be fair. And you can't wait. I'll tell you what. You wait to make a decision umpiring a ball game, you're going to get... It's a brawl. Okay?
The energy level you have, sir, is amazing, and your accomplishments go without. I mean, I couldn't even begin to list them. And Glenn, this is why it was important for us to bring prior military folks on that are seeking public office, because who better to make these type of judgments? And like you said, your experience, it's all come up to this point, right? I mean, isn't that right, Glenn?
And I'm grateful to have the opportunity to sit here and listen to your experiences and the service that you did for our country to help keep us continuing to be free. And let me tell my story real quick when it comes to voting for judges. Who the hell are these guys? Do I vote for them in alphabetical order?
A lot of people do.
Yeah. So I think we're doing a great service for our listeners today to tell you about an eminently qualified person running for the judge in the 18th
Circuit.
18th Circuit.
Group 23.
Group 23, John Moser, a distinguished retiree, Army colonel, distinguished legal career, as you've just heard John explain for us. And now I'm an informed voter, and I hope that you guys out there will share all this information with other people who may not be an informed voter and may go vote for judges like I used to. I don't know.
Exactly. Name
check the block.
recognition. Yeah, name recognition is great if you see, one of the yard signs or something like that. But you've been out there working the crowd, beating the streets, shaking hands. You've been at a number of events that AVET Project has been at recently. And that's what it takes. It gets that exposure for you, and it gives other people in the community that you're going to be serving an opportunity to meet you and ask you questions. Let me ask you a question. How can people find out a little more about you on your campaign website?
Well, they can go to www.moserforjudge.com. We also have a Facebook page, which
all spelled out, Moser, F-O-R Judge, Moser for
yes,
Judge.
not a number 4, Moser, M-O-S-E-R, F-O-R-J-U-D-G-E.com. I beg people to educate yourself. Don't just go to the poll now because John Moser has asked you to support him and vote for him. Go look at my qualifications and see if I'm the type of individual that if you go before that court, you're going to feel confident that that person is going to be capable, that I'm going to be qualified, that I'm going to apply the law fairly, as I've done in everything I've done my entire life. There is not a prejudice bone in my body. I mean, some people sometimes will look at, they'll question about where your background. We lived in D.C. for 3 years, inner city. My son was the only white child in an inner city school. I know what it's like to be on that side of it.
Sure.
I know the inner city. I know in playing ball with athletes. I know in being in the military. From all walks of life, okay? We are all equal. We came into this world with nothing. We're going out of this world with nothing. You walk into that courtroom, you're no different. I don't care what walk of life. I don't care what job. I don't care what your background is. You will get treated evenly and fairly, the same way that I've done my work, done my responsibilities, taken care of the government's business throughout my entire career.
And on the ballot for this position, and the judicial position is the 18th District.
Judicial Circuit.
With Group 23. There are some other names on the ballot. And as Mr. Moser just told you, as well,
Please.
As John just told you, look him up and compare him. Make an educated choice. I think you can all tell where Glenn and I are going to cast our ballots. But while we've got another minute here, you're involved with a lot of different things, a lot of activities here on the Space Coast. And one of them is that you're the chairperson for the Veterans Resource Committee, Melbourne Chamber, which of course AVET Project's a member of the Melbourne Chamber. Tell us a little bit about an upcoming event you got going on, because I know you're excited about it.
And first of all, I didn't get a chance. I want to thank you folks for your work with AVET. Look, it doesn't take rocket science. It's not a mystery. If you look in the paper, you look on the news, our veterans system is in peril. When we raise our hand to the square and we agree to serve this nation, our nation makes a pact with us that if you come home broken, you come home beat up, you come home injured, you come home whatever, our government's going to take care of you. We're failing that as a nation. And it's organizations like AVET. I'm thankful for all your hard work. You folks are out there working it day in and day out tirelessly. God bless you for that, and I thank you for that. And I, as part of my way to give back and to serve my veterans, one, we've got a veterans court here in Brevard County. It's only a misdemeanor right now. One of the things I want to do if I get elected, I'm going to give every ounce of effort to get that extended into felony. Now,
Hoorah!
We don't have a lot of time to go into it, maybe on another show. We bring that into the felony division.
You're always
for
welcome on
applicable
American
cases.
Warrior Radio.
And then the one big project we're at now in the Veterans Resource Committee, and I invite everyone to go to veteransresourcecommittee.org. That's veterans, plural, resourcecommittee.org. We have a huge project coming up on September 6th to honor our vets. It's the Veterans Stick Marsh Veterans Bass Challenge, okay? And it's for our vets, but we've got 53-person teams, a boat captain, and we still need boat captains, folks. So if you'll go to that website or go to the Melbourne Chamber's website, you can sign up. There's a fee for that, but all this, every single penny goes back to our veterans, all right? Every penny. I guarantee you, there's not going to be these deals where 80% goes to some administrator or some bean counter. It will not happen. I can tell you they'll be accountable to me. Every penny is going to go back to our vets. Then there's going to be a public figure. It's a Mayor Capote, since the Stick Marsh is in Palm Bay. He's issued a challenge to every mayor and all the leading public figures, county commissioners, Sheriff Ivey, Phil Archer, all our public servants that are out there working hard for our public. And then there'll be 50 disabled vets in each of the one in each of the boats. Okay, 50 boats. It'll be an all-day affair. The veteran is not going to pay anything. All the meals are provided. Then at the end of the day, we're having a huge banquet at Bass Pro. Bass Pro has been tremendous here, and they haven't asked for, they've given so much. So big banquet. So if nothing else, if you just want to support our vets, come out to the banquet. You can go online. It's $25 for a ticket. Again, every penny goes for our troops. It'll be a barbecue, banquet, music. Friday night before, also an event. And if you go on the Henniger Center website, Henniger Center, and you can also get to it from the Melbourne Chamber, there's a troop called Company B. There's the 3-woman troop. They replicate the Andrews sisters, and they actually come in and do a USO show like they used to do in World War II.
Seen them, they're wonderful.
They're tremendous. They actually take on the persona of these Andrews sisters. You actually see tears coming from the eyes of these brave men and women that have served our nation. It's incredible.
You get the idea. He's got some energy, folks. I want you to check out his campaign website. It is moser4judge.com, and educate yourself. I think, like I said, you know where we're going to cast our vote. VeteranResourceCommittee.org.
Right.
Check out the fishing, which is coming up quick, September 6th. You want to get on board with that. Sir, thank you for your service to our country, your dedication to the law profession, and everything else you've accomplished in your career, and the fact that you're stepping up to take on this judgeship, which I am encouraging everybody to look into hiring more vets, and that means in public office as well. Thank you, brother man.
Absolutely. Thank you all very much for having me. I appreciate you.
Hey, Glenn, we've got to get a couple shouts out real quick here. I was in Vieira just the other day for a dedication at the Vieira Outpatient Clinic for the new open MRI. That's a big advancement.
All right.
Yes, it was awesome. Met with Bill Posey. He encouraged me to tell all of you listeners out there, get on the horn and make some noise so that the senators must support the Deployed Troop Support Act of 2014. Bill Nelson, make a phone call, 407-872-7161. That's why I tell you to grab a pen and paper. Call Marco Rubio, 407-254-2573. It's the Deployed Troop Support Act of 2014. We need them to support this to get it through. If you have any question about what the program's about, you know you can get it at avetproject.org, our website, and all the other social media platforms and find out more about it. AVET Project has spearheaded this from the beginning, almost 4 years ago. And Glenn, we're running out of time, and we never want to forget about mentioning this business.
Yeah, we want to remind you, if you're a veteran experiencing a crisis or a family member of a veteran that knows that they're experiencing a possible crisis, 1-800-273-8255. For veterans, press 1. And as always, don't forget, thank a vet.
Woohoo! Thank you. Right on the money, huh? No shrinkage needed there.